night and welcome to the Galen Hour. We are here again for another episode of the Galen Hour. This season we're focusing on protecting our wildlife. This is our fourth episode for this season. All the previous episodes have been exceptional and I have no doubt tonight will be the same. We have in studios with us tonight Dean Sherry Gibbs, who's the Dean of the Faculty of Arts, Science and Technology, who's joined us for two already, Dean Gibbs? Maybe?
I think this is my first in studio for this season. Yep.
Yeah, so welcome. Glad to have you in studio. We also have joining us Sarah Mann, who's Executive Director from the Belize Raptor Center.
Hey.
Welcome, Sarah, and thank you for taking the trek all the way to Belize City to be in studios.
Absolutely.
We appreciate it. We know you have a good discussion lined up for us. I like to notice our props. I have a friend on my friend with me. And we have joining us virtually Mrs. Miriam Sarut, who is the Registrar of Pesticide, of the Pesticide Control Board, right? Yes, so welcome, Mrs. Miriam. Thank you for joining us tonight. All right, I'm Diana Gomez-Perifit, and I get the honor of hosting the Galen Hour. It is really always a pleasure to be here. As you may know, the Galen Hour is a production of Galen University. It showcases Galen's dedication to academic excellence, advances sustainable development, and cultivates a passion for lifelong learning. And we find very interesting topics that are relevant as we're doing for this season, such as protecting our wildlife, who we share this beautiful country with. And so stay tuned for our discussion tonight. It should be quite entertaining, quite informational, enjoyable. We'll be right back after a short message from Galen University.
Good day, everyone. My name is Jackson Zhao, and I'm currently majoring in international business here at the beautiful campus of Galen University. This is currently my second year here, so I'd like to share with you some of my awesome experiences that I've had here. As people, we all know that culture is very important in all the places that we go to. And here at Galen University, I've met a lot of great friends and a lot of great teachers who are all willing to go beyond the classroom to help make your experiences the best. Here at Galen, some of the services we provide would be the Writing Center, which is basically free tutoring for everyone. And it definitely helps us a lot with our own writing skills. And working along with the Writing Center would be Student Affairs services, which along the way of your academic journey, they all help you be the best student and the best athlete that you can be. In terms of academics, there are a lot of great opportunities for us to be in interactive classes, to go on school trips, and to join school clubs. So if you're looking for academic excellence, choose what's best for yourself and come soar with the Galen Eagles.
To every man, every young leader, come back to the classroom. No excuses, no limits. It takes the same discipline, the same winning mindset. It's time to get back in, back to the classroom, back to your purpose, back to finishing what you started. Continue to choose the best for yourself. Come soar with the Galen Eagles.
My year, my life, my education. Galen University, my choice for excellence in education. Apply today. For more information, email us at admissions@galen.edu.bz or give us a call at 614-6415. Come soar with the Galen Eagles.
Yes, welcome back to the Galen Hour. We're talking with the Belize Raptor Center and the Pesticide Control Board tonight, and we have Dean Sherry Gibbs in studios as well. So we want to hear how these two agencies, or at least the Raptor Center and the Pesticide Control Board, work together and how they engage with our communities and what we can do. So it's going to be very educational indeed and informational. So let's start our questions. And we want to hear first, before we start the discussion, what the mandate is for the Pesticide Control Board, and then we'll come to you, Sarah, on the Raptor Center, and then Dean Gibbs, how we fit in as a university. So Ms. Miriam, thank you for being on. We could start with you, please.
It's a pleasure to be on the Galen Hour show tonight. Yes, so the Pesticides Control Board is a statutory body under the ministry responsible for agriculture. And our mandate is the regulation of pesticides in Belize. And that is, that ranges from approval of the pesticides that we use in the country, establishing a prohibited pesticide list, regulating importation, distribution, storage, transportation, and basically sale and use of pesticides in the country, how pesticides are used in the country. In a nutshell, we call it life cycle management.
Okay, good. And Sarah, the Raptor Center?
So we do rescue and rehabilitation of injured and orphaned birds of prey. So we do run a rehabilitation portion to it. But our main goal is actually education. We bring in, well, right now we're bringing in like 20 to 25 schools every month. We talk to thousands of kids every year. So trying to connect, children and people to wildlife. So we actually have just redone our mission statement because as we've grown over the last decade, we have done a lot more things. We've started leading the poison-free Belize campaign as well. We do a lot of community work within the communities, scholarship programs. So we've grown quite large after, for the last decade. So that's the new mission statement right there.
Fantastic. And maybe Gibbs could come in here with the collaboration between the Raptor Center and Galen for sure.
Sure.
And then we could talk a little bit more about other agencies that.
Yeah. So it was myself and another Miriam from Galen University, Miriam Lowe. We thought the Student Academic Support Center would have lunchtime chats and discussions with students just about interesting topics that they're not necessarily getting in their classes. And I had been seeing these billboards of the poison-free, but seeing that the Pesticide Control Board had linked up with the Raptor Center. And I was thinking, that's a really interesting relationship. Why don't we take a look at and have them come in so they can talk to our students, the intersect with poisons, our raptors. And then we had Dr. Isabel Paquette-Duran, who was on last week's class, so she could talk about the impact on other wildlife when poisons are being used. So that we could learn more and, our Galen community could learn the impacts of these. And it was just, I think it was a really fantastic session. So we had students, we had staff, we had our guys that are out there maintaining our campus, part of it, and we were all sharing. And so I thought, this is a really fantastic way to start a relationship that I think really formally started a connection with the Raptor Center and the Pesticide Control Board.
Yes, very good. So every organized wildlife organization every organization that protects wildlife and has come on has talked about the educational aspect. And here you are again, Sarah, mentioning how important education.
It's the most important part of what we do.
Yes. And so tell us a little bit about what do you tell people about the raptors in Belize and what kind of information do you share? Let's
Oh man,
there.
so teaching people what is a raptor,
Yes.
that's the first and foremost. What ecological services do they provide for us, right? We teach them how they are bioindicators of the environment. When you see an apex predator in decline, you have to look at what's happening with the environment too. We bring out ambassadors, so we do house sanctuary birds on site. So kids get to come in. Today we had a school from Belmopan come in, and they got to meet our barn owl and learn about what kind of services the barn owl provides for us. How many rats they eat a year, the kind of pest control. We also brought out an orange-breasted falcon, so they got to meet a critically endangered bird. And they learned about the conservation aspect of what the organization, does. Yeah, so very, they love it. They come in, they meet, it's really, no one gets to really see these birds up close. You might see one fly by and scream, but when you really see them up close, there's a connection that you'll never forget. And that's
Yes.
where it starts. You know, our youth are our future. So.
I think too, and sorry, I'm going to jump in because was telling Sarah, and remember when she came to Galen years ago and brought some of her, those that will showcase, I think you brought the owl, and but because there are these stories or myths, so you're told that, you know, when you hear the owl, you know, sort of scream that it, you know, it
Uncle
means
Johnny
this.
gonna die.
Yeah, and you know, that they're, you know, maybe evil or they're bad, and omen, and you're going to want to get rid of them. And so you'll hear stories of, you know, as soon as you see one, you're going to slingshot it or but for kids then, so they've heard these stories, for them to be able to see the bird and understand what they do and dispel those myths, I think that's what's
And then kids
really
are our
impactful
best
too.
teachers for the adults too. So we teach a kid, when an owl flies under the moon, it means a rat is dying soon. So when an owl does fly by and maybe their granny run out and say, oh, they cursed the owl because it's going to bring death, they can be like, no, Nanny, you know, that thing is coming to eat rats.
Yeah,
It's coming
bringing the death to the
clean
rat.
up, you know, that's what is coming to kill is the rats, you know, and the rats carry diseases, you know, they're the best. So it's that connection that we're trying to help them make. And they don't forget it. I've met a little boy recently, and he had been in a talk when he was 6 years old, and he was 13. And he was like, he forgot my name, which is fine, but he never forgot the name of the birds. And he knew them, and he remembered them, and that's, you know.
Yeah, teaching them from they're very young is very important.
Very
Well, I believe we could bring Miriam in at this point. Ms. Miriam, you mentioned that the barn owls are natural pest control, right? So, yes, so while they may be natural pest controls, we do know that your board has to control the use of pesticides, particularly, I guess, for agricultural purposes. But maybe you could tell us a little bit more, Ms. Miriam, about the types of pest control pesticides that are used and what the importance of controlling what is being used.
Okay, so pest management is not an easy task. Pesticides are used in agriculture, in public health settings, for example, in the control of malaria. So I guess I could just say that to begin with, that agriculture isn't easy, pest management isn't easy, and it often leads to overuse of pesticides, and also not observing best practices. For example, pesticides, when a farmer in managing pests on a crop should rotate between different pesticides, pesticide chemical families, in order to avoid the development of resistance, for example, using the correct dosage, observing the pre-harvest interval in terms of precautions that benefit food safety. So there's weeds. We live in a tropical climate, so I'm sure you've noticed, you know, you chop your yard yesterday and today it rain, and tomorrow the weeds are high again in your yard. So that's I would say one of the biggest challenges, weed management. With climate change, the agricultural sector is seeing a lot of different pest explosions, you know, pests that weren't showing up are showing up now in different times of the year. So it makes forecasting for pest management more difficult these days. The same thing with diseases. You know, I'm sure you've heard of the different challenges that the sugarcane industry is going through. So disease management. So you have, yes, weeds, insects, and diseases, fungal diseases especially, soil-borne diseases. So there's a lot of challenges, but particularly with this thematic area in talking about wildlife, you know, and their susceptibility to our practices, you know, the tendency to use rodenticides. So you have insecticides, fungicides, herbicides. You have rodenticides killing the rats, and I'm sure Sarah will go much deeper into that. So we use pesticides in a lot of different settings.
Great. Yes, I mean, I remember ever since growing up in Belize, there's always a spraying when it's mosquito season, you know. So we grow up knowing you either close your windows or you run from that smell somehow. So even for the human, and I guess that's where the public health aspect comes in. But yes, Sarah, so you're going to go deeper into the rodenticides and how it affects your yes.
Yeah. So where do we start with that? That's just, it's such a deep topic. I guess, you know, it really kind of started over the last few years. We have gotten birds in that have shown signs. So there's really no test in birds. Like, I can't pull a blood sample. It's a liver test. So you'd have to wait until the animal's died and then you can test the liver. But we actually don't have access to those tests here in country. So what we do is we look for neurological signs. We do blood clot time tests. So every bird that comes in, we do, you know, take blood at the clinic. We run blood chemistry on them, and we set catheters for IV fluids, you know. So what we noticed in the last few years is we were getting birds that were coming in with the inability to clot. So, and that is usually directly related to a diet consuming probably rodents that have had in some way, shape, or form eating rodenticides, which are anticoagulants. Most of them, the ones that we have here, are. And so, you know, the blood comes out, it doesn't clot, you clot time it. And that's kind of where this all started. Was we had a patient come in and her blood took 1 hour and 48 minutes to dry on the table. It never actually clotted. And that's when I did reach out to Miriam. This is her actually on the photo right there. That's a shell. Our vet slept beside her kennel for 2 days straight because we kept losing her. And she had all kinds of other signs too, neurological signs, clenched talons, incoordination with her eyes. So we did go out to the area that she came from when we spoke to a lot of the farmers. So she actually came from a national park. But the national park is surrounded by farming communities. A lot of national parks, a lot of the archaeological sites are. So these animals have a really good area to live in, but they don't necessarily hunt there, you know. So they're using the farming fields. And we did talk to the farmers, and they were like, yeah, we use rodenticides. We use rat poison because we got all these rats coming out of the park, and they're eating our crops. So that's how we did find out with her. And that's kind of what started a relationship, actually, with Miriam. And then we just kind of took it from there. But it just really, with the whole rodenticide stuff and pesticides in general, with health indicators and Raptors, you have to look at what kind of chemicals are being used, right? So that's where, you know, talking with Miriam and understanding what chemicals, you know, the Pesticide Control Board is allowing in and permitting, it kind of helps us to make diagnostics on patients. For example, insecticides, Miriam just brought up insecticides as well. If you go in and you spray your crop field, right, you're spraying for insects. There are a lot of raptors that eat insects, right? So you might spray a field and a plumeous kite comes in and eats, we were just talking about plumeous kites, they come in and they eat 20 grasshoppers that day. They're ingesting that poison. And then it doesn't necessarily, like poisons don't necessarily kill animals right away. Right? It's the aftermath, you know, of what happens within the body, right? Yeah, and so it's, you know, that's what she was saying. It's a very complex issue, pest management. But yeah, we deal a lot with the rodenticide part. We haven't seen so many insecticide poisonings come in or that we know of. It can come in as something like the bird that we were talking about. It has an unnatural tameness, and you're like, that's weird. But it's because of the neurological issues from insecticides. But when you look at rodenticides, I know I was talking to Miriam recently, and it's really great. We actually don't have bromethylene in the country, which is a neurotoxin. So that's good. So that's really great for wildlife. That's a really bad one. But we do have first and second generation anticoagulants. And you've probably seen them. you've probably gone into your stores, you know, or you've gone into primers and you've seen them there, or, you know, but it just depends on like what the animal's eating, where it's hunting, when it's going to come into contact with either the first generation, which is available for anybody to go buy.
Yeah.
I could walk right now into a store and purchase it and sprinkle it around my yard. The rat eats it. It takes a long time to die. It gives the owls, like this beauty right here, you like my owl, will come and swoop and eat it, and then they swallow it.
Yeah.
And over time, it bioaccumulates in their system. Right, and that's where the health indicators come in. Right, I know there's a question you'd asked about how do you know,
Yes,
you know,
how
what's
do you
going
know?
on. And like I said, if they don't die right away, the body is trying to process poison, you know, so their immune system's weak. If a disease comes through and they catch it, they're less likely to fight it because their immune system's shot. You know, the liver is on overdrive trying to process this toxin. You know, if say she comes in and eats, you know, a couple rats and she has anticoagulants in her, if she gets a minor trauma, she might hemorrhage, you know, she might bleed out because her body's not clotting. Thermoregulation is a really big one. So this is one that every bird that has come into the center that's shown signs of rodenticides has not been able to thermoregulate their body. So if it rains and they can't thermoregulate, they become hypothermic. And then their organs start to shut down. If it's 109 degrees outside and they can't thermoregulate, they go into heat stroke.
Yeah. Does it affect their reproduction?
It's it's huge
So-
in all animals, reproductive. We're not just looking at birds with reproduction. I know our generation knows, but I was talking about this earlier. Do you guys remember DDT? Oh yeah, right? It was in the 40s. It came around. It was malaria, typhus. Somebody got a Nobel Peace Prize for, you know, in medicine for creating this. And then in the 60s, right, Rachel Carson came along and was like, hey guys, like look at this damage it's doing. And it was impacting birds, right? So we did have the species that always comes to my mind is the peregrine falcon, right? They just, the populations declined so drastically. And it was banned in the 70s, but we are still, to this day, half a century later, still seeing the effects, the ecological effects, you know, in the environment, and it's posing health risks to exposed populations. We're half a century later.
Yeah.
You know, and this is also, you know.
Do we see deformities? I mean, or it doesn't they just don't reproduce?
It's usually just reproduction success. There's been several cases where I think the one that we were kind of talking about is a large mammal with different pesticides and chemicals, a big orca. I don't know if you remember that case. She's 20-some years old and she'd never reproduced, and she had 100 times the limit for PCBs in her system. You know, and that was banned in the 80s, and she died in 2018. So it is in the ocean, and we actually did ban it because we saw the effects it was having on marine life. So I mean, this goes beyond birds.
Yeah. So,
you know.
so how does it? Well, it has me thinking. Does it impact the waters we drink, the
Yes.
crops that get sprayed? I mean, so it has to go beyond the birds that are eating the pests that are running.
And it's
through our
more maybe
fields.
Miriam's like,
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
but yeah, it definitely, I mean,
Yes.
glyphosates, I mean, it's a huge endocrine disruptor for us. It harms our fertility, our reproductive success.
Yeah.
But Miriam would probably.
Yes, Miriam, would you like to comment on that? Respond to that question,
Sure.
please.
Yes, well, just to share some things. In the 80s, when the Pesticides Control Board was established, one of the first measures that was taken was the listing of, I would say, next to all organochlorines on organochlorine insecticides on the prohibited schedule. So about a couple decades later, you know, we would find out that Belize was well ahead in that sense, that insecticides such as endosulfan, for example, that had been banned by Belize since the 80s, was still being used. And later on, that insecticide was listed under the Stockholm Convention for phasing out. So we have been ahead in some ways, but the the newer chemical families that were coming on the market at that time to replace, well, speaking specifically about insecticides, the organochlorine insecticides, carbamates, organophosphates became very popular, and they were quote unquote safer because of the both the acute toxicity and, well, not much was known about, the chronic effects. And as what Sarah just mentioned with glyphosate, glyphosate was being promoted as a good alternative for the use of paraquat herbicide, which everybody has heard about paraquat, and the its acute toxicity, meaning that well, uh, the dosage for an intoxication is way lower than with glyphosate, for example. But it was only 30 years on that these studies are coming out that are pointing to glyphosate as a possible carcinogen. It's been linked to non-Hodgkin's lymphoma. So um, um, I believe the crux of the matter, though, lies in the judicious use, of pesticides. Um, there are We don't have an ongoing, let's say, a market surveillance system that will test the food on the market and whatnot. But there are studies that have been done, for example, in Jamaica, in countries with similar climatic conditions, that would suggest that when pesticides are used according to the manufacturer's instructions, meaning you use the correct dosage, you observe the pre-harvest interval, etc., you should not really have a problem with residues, for example. There are some studies that were carried out in Belize within the last 3 years or so, I would say, that did detect some pesticides, but they were all at acceptable levels. So that's a good sign. But what is worrisome is some of the basic best practices that are not being eh, done. For example, rotation between chemical families, which is leading to pest resistance. But then again, that is anecdotal, because again, there's no studies being done in the field to know for sure, that even weeds are becoming resistant to different herbicides because of overuse. So all that said, I would say in the last 5 years or so, there's been a bigger push for the adoption of integrated pest management in agriculture. You have institutions like OIRSA and CIRDI, developing the biocontrol agents and products. We have a lot more interest and companies coming forward with for the registration of biopesticides. So we have a lot more of these products coming into the market. We also have, new molecules are always coming on the market, right? And they will always be promoted as quote unquote safer molecules, but I will say, after some time, then you get to find out, from the chronic standpoint. But these new molecules would normally be more expensive. So I guess I'm going in a little bit into the challenges part here.
Yes, I was going to say, what are some of the main challenges that you face, and particularly when you're engaging with communities and with farmers who are choosing maybe the most available or the most cost effective, and not necessarily looking at the effects.
So that is a challenge, of course, the cost factor, and it's always easier to do what you know, and but there are much more initiatives now in the field for demonstration of sustainable alternatives to farmers. And we have some farmer groups. There's also a lot of work being done through the different projects that have come on stream to assist farmers. And we have a lot more of these farmers operating in groups and associations, and you see that interest. Also, they are being influenced by the younger generation as well, which is, their children, the children of the farmers who are still working on the farm to some extent and going to being more aware, in terms of environmental conservation and all that. I believe we are seeing a very big positive impact from that a surge in education, in that area. So we see a lot of farmer groups with that interest. I don't want to say names of associations because I wouldn't want to miss anybody out, but we are seeing a lot of interest from the farmers. And I will close off this by saying that in 2018, it was 2018, 2019, just before COVID, we launched the Grow Safe campaign. I shared the logo on the little WhatsApp group. I don't know if you'd be able to put it on, but
The logo for
the Grow Safe campaign, which is what was exciting for us when Sarah came to us. It wasn't coming from a farmer group or a farmer association like what we had originally intended, but it was coming from an equally important and very, very important sector in wildlife conservation. So we were very happy to partner in a small way, just to say we support definitely the efforts of Sarah and the Belize Raptor Center, and we weren't even looking at rodenticides. We still aren't, to that extent.
Yes, really good. So I really appreciate that you mentioned the education already. The impact of it is really being seen. And we're at a little bit past our halfway mark, as quick as that. So we'll take a quick break and we'll be right back. Stay tuned for this very interesting discussion about the pesticides that we're using in our country and about how it impacts our lives, but also our wildlife. We'll be right back with the Galen Hour.
Hi, I'm Landy Longsworth. I'm a 2016 anthropology graduate from Galen University and a proud Galen Eagle. Following my graduation from Galen, I started working in the humanitarian field where I stayed for 6 years working under various capacities. I made a little life change and I'm now on an entrepreneurship journey. I'm the proud owner of Sol Handmade Clay Jewelry. And still, my Galen education played a crucial part of shaping my creative entrepreneurship journey. It has equipped me with the critical thinking, analytical skills, and the research skills necessary to make good business decisions. Majoring in anthropology deepened my understanding of culture, of identity, of human behavior, and that really has allowed me to create pieces that resonate in a meaningful way, which is very important for my brand. Additionally, my Galen education strengthened my ability to adapt to changes, to communicate effectively, and to really approach challenges with a global perspective, which has really helped to build my brand and help me navigate international opportunities that have been awarded to me.
Yeah, so welcome back to the Galen Hour. We're talking with the representative from our Pesticide Control Board as well as from the Belize Raptor Center, and we have Dean Gibbs in studios as well. And we want to get right back into the conversation. Sarah, would you telling us a little bit about the monitoring of our raptors and how it all ties into all of the scientific, chemical...
I know, it's just it's so complex again. Yeah, so we don't do research particularly with the Raptor Center. We'd love to eventually. But there is an app called eBird, and I know a lot of birders out there are huge. I know, Galen, you guys do it as well. Over the last, since COVID actually, it became a really big thing, right? So we have more birders in the country e-birding than we've ever had before. And we are seeing, I actually am working with Cornell right now, the university in Ithaca, and we're putting together raw data on the last 5 to 10 years of certain species. So certain ones that would be affected by insecticides, rodenticides, and we are seeing a huge decline. I mean, I was just saying, in Belmopan alone last year, there was one whitetail kite, put in eBird. One sighting. Barn owls, there are less sightings last year than there's ever been. And these are, like we said, we talked about indicator species, right? So why are they declining? Then you have to look at the area that they're declining in. Is there more, pesticides, rodenticides being used? And we're actually putting it next to the increase of rodenticide sales that we've been, seeing. I know Miriam maybe can pitch in with this one, but I know in 2014 there was a big push for rodenticides because of the leptospirosis outbreaks that were happening in Orange Walk, right, with the humans. And so by monitoring, the birds and their populations, that's how we're going to find out, what's happening and how we can fix it. And, and we don't just want to, it's crazy. We do so much education. And when we're talking to people, honestly, people don't realize that this poison kills more than rats. It says rat poison. I say, why do you use it? Well, because the rat eat it and it go die. And I'm like, okay, but what happens to the rat when it dies? Your neighbor's cat might get it. Your neighbor's dog. Your children might pick up the poison in the house. There's, instead of, Miriam did mention a really important thing, integrated pest management. Why is the rat there? Prevention is key. Trash piles, wood piles, burn piles. So we have to look at integrated pest management and also alternatives too.
Because I was going to say, or people are going to say, but how do we get rid of them? The only thing we know about
chemical is the last resort. It should always be your last resort. You should try natural things first. You should, exclusion, stop them from getting in. Find out where they're coming in. Find out why they're coming in. Is there food? There's
trash.
The trash is the main attractant for rodents. And if they can get in, a house or something, they're going to be in there. So it's literally trying to seal holes and then monitor it. Look for droppings, look for damage. And then you can go to non-lethal non-poison methods, sorry, like snap traps, live traps, kill traps. And then the last resort should always be, but yeah, that should never be your first thing, So, but there is other things too, like barn owls, for example. I know there's a lot of folklore with the barn owls. We've talked about that, right? And I think they covered it last week a lot more in detail. But a family of barn owls eats 8,000 rats a year. 2 rats produce 15,000 rats a year, right?
Wow.
Oh, I know. It's everyone's like, I saw this rat, and I'm like,
no.
I assure you it's not the same rat. It's never the same rat. But the thing is, if we do a lot of work with the farming industry, a lot of work with the sugarcane industry. Valley of Peace is one of the bigger ones that we work with, and we install barn owl habitats, right, to help farmers use nature. Like Miriam said, there is a move towards a more sustainable future in farming and agricultural. And so, I'll go out to a farm and I'll be like, okay, every 50 yards, if you put a hunting perch in this big open field, you will attract a raptor, right? You can even bait the perch. You can put, a box and put some corn in there, and you can bait them to the perch, train the raptors to come, and then just remove that, and then you'll get 24-hour pest control because your owls will use it, your hawks will use it. You can install barn owl habitats on your field. I was down south recently working with the Department of Agriculture down there, and I met a gentleman. He's never used poison. He's never had any crop damage from rodents, but he's never used poison. He uses nature to benefit his farm, and I think there's definitely a way forward with that, because you can use the jungle and the forest to benefit, your farming lands.
You were saying that you had some alternative
Yeah, so I had big discussions with Miri, and I was like, and we have a friend actually in Arizona who has been using this product for years, and she's like, Sarah, this has been the best alternative that we've ever found. And it's a birth control. I know, it's so simple. No prescription needed. No, I'm just kidding. Sorry, I had to. That's my British humor in there. I did. So anyways, so this is just cottonseed oil. I know it's not just cottonseed oil. It's cottonseed oil, and it has oat flour. It's got palm oil, soybean oil, cottonseed meal. But it's a natural product. There's no secondary poisoning. And the thing is, the rodent only needs to take one little bite a week in order to be not able to reproduce. And it works on both male and female. So if the male comes in and he's like, oh, this tastes good, and he eats it, if he eats a lot of it, like a whole sausage, he might become sterile for life.
Yeah.
And the thing is that everything eats rats. Everything. You know, rats are a vital part of the food chain for wildlife. Vital. They are wildlife. You know, they're a part of the food chain. And so, you know, when you're not poisoning them and you're stopping them from reproducing, other things are eating them. Your barn owls are coming in, they're eating the rats. You know, so you are able to lower the population of the rats by about 70% in a month and a half by just getting them to stop reproducing. And then you let nature take its course. You know, you let the mesocarnivores come in, especially for the farming fields, right? It's like your foxes, your possums, your raccoons. I mean, there's a lot of like smaller carnivores that are coming in and eating those rats too.
But how do we get our farmers to use these instead of the pesticides? Are there any policies? Miriam
Sarah?
Said,
I'm not sure what grade this is, but it's like there's a certain, Miriam could talk more about that.
Yes.
It's of like least concern or least risk, I think it is. What was that again, Miriam?
Yes, well, that product would certainly not fall under our scope. So we certainly support this. I got a question
Am I hearing
today,
you
though.
well?
Oh,
Your audio?
it's on. Can you hear me?
It's better, yes. Yes.
Okay, yes. Well, the Evolve birth control, it does not fall under our scope. But just to dive a little bit into the pesticide classifications, in 2016 we updated our criteria for the classification of restricted use pesticides. So there's 9 criteria that we use for listing restricted use pesticides, and that has really ballooned the list of pesticides that are listed under that a classification. But we have been focusing mostly on the agricultural pesticides. So with this collaboration that we have with the Raptor Center, we are beginning to take a closer look at the different rodenticides we have registered, and reviewing their status. So I believe that in before too long we should have revised that listing, or at least done a review and made some decisions on the currently registered products. But I must say that as our training, we also do a lot of training. We do a lot of training of farmers and other pesticide users. And this year actually is the 30th anniversary of our National Pesticide Training and Certification Program. And while we have been very focused on safe use of pesticides, training in the safe use or responsible use of pesticides, after 30 years, the focus of our training is evolving more into reducing reliance on pesticides, promoting integrated pest management, and which includes, of course, these ecological approaches to pest management. So did I drift a little bit there?
It's a good drift.
Yes. That was good.
I'm just going to jump in because I think I'm not sure like policy-wise, and I guess what Miriam was saying, like if they get to a point where, okay, we can start looking at these raticides and they're going to be part of the list that's restricted, but it's just educating, right? And just
Always.
constantly going out, and so what the Pesticide Control Board is doing and working with farmers, and then what you've been doing, and like saying that some farmers have said, yeah, I get this, I understand, so let's work together and put these up. And yeah, and I think that's why it was really great, and so we want to get them to come back and do it again. But for the students to understand, I think there was really an aha moment when they saw the connection.
Yeah.
And when you go in, I mean, you just see like Miss Deanna's reaction when you go into the detail of what's happening to the, it's one thing I guess for the rat to go, but when you understanding how these other animals and these birds are being impacted by it.
And that's the thing, it's not, like, I love raptors. I've loved them since I was, for a long, 40 years, but like, it ages me. But it's not just it's for our children, so our biodiversity doesn't disappear. I mean, that's, right back to it. Everything eats rats. Our ocelots, our mountain lions, we have so much wildlife. Our biodiversity is beautiful here. And I mean, we're so new into, like Miriam was saying, into the rodenticides. And a lot of times it's, it might not be being, sorry, my son distracted me just there. But yeah, so we might not be putting it out properly, or putting it in the box as like a professional would do, or picking up the rat when it's eating the poison, right? But yeah, I have a sticker. It's a Poison Affects All sticker. A lot of people have seen it, and I always tell people, when you get, like right now, we're at like a certain level, like because it needs to bioaccumulate in the environment, right? And in the bird and biomagnify, right? So, we're not seeing it yet in our, coyotes or our jaguars, but eventually we will. I know around the world I do a lot of work with other countries and talking to them. I've had a lot of them reach out to me and say, hey, this is what we're seeing. Just recently, like California, they were testing mountain lions, and out of 40 mountain lions, 39 of them had 6 different rodenticides in them. That's crazy. These mountain lions don't live in the city. We have wildlife out our back door. I walk outside and there's the jungle. If I put rodenticides where I live, I would poison the jaguarundis and the ocelots, And so, yeah, I think it's just back to the beginning, right? Education, like just teaching people that there are safe alternatives, and we're here to help. Like that's what we're here for. You have a problem. I have people message me all the time and be like, hey, I have rats in my storage, and I'm like, okay, I will help you. Tell me what you got going on,
Yes, indeed. Yeah. God, am I thankful that I took sciences in high school. This conversation tonight is pulling from all of my, it's very, yeah. Yeah. So we have like 6 minutes to wrap up time. To closing time. So I want to give each of you a couple, about a minute, to have some last words. I know you never mentioned anything about funding. How do you fund? I don't know if you want to make that be your last words or not, but.
So we're an NGO. We write a lot of international grants as well. We're in the United States. I do have a nonprofit organization, a 501. So we can write a lot of grants that filter through there that come to Belize. We do a lot of fundraising. Like right now we have a shirt fundraiser going on with all of our different ambassadors. But yeah, it's mostly fundraising. We did recently just secure a really nice grant for our rehabilitation side. So it's about 50,000 Belize, and it will help with blood rotors and getting together our like medical side of the clinic and getting stocked in there. We bought some incubators for when patients come in with hypothermia.
And you also, mentioned that you've got, that there are places in Belize that donate. So you've got different.
Yes. We, especially with the Poison Free campaign, I actually reached out to a lot of resorts and like eco-friendly resorts, and I was talking to him about the poisons and what they're doing and that there are safe alternatives. And a lot of these resorts have their own crop fields. So they're like, Sarah, we have rats eating our carrots. And I'm like, I'll be there. You know, and I brought them out birth control and we set them in the fields. We installed some barn owl boxes. And then I said, hey, look, I want to raise awareness for the public. I want people to drive by billboards. I want them to see barn owls and be like, oh, they're feeding their baby. Oh, wait, if that rat has poison, that baby dies. And like start like putting this together. Yeah, I mean, I got Hamanasi, Blankenau, Sang Nasio Hotel, Hidden Valley. RF&G is a huge supporter of this program too, because they see, you know, I mean, these are eco resorts. They bring tourism in to see wildlife. You know, I mean, that's why people come here.
Yeah.
So
this is great. This is quite educational. Ms. Miriam, you have a minute? You want to give
Yes, sure. I just would like to say that reducing reliance on pesticides requires concerted effort among all stakeholders, and we're very happy to be partnering in some small way with the Raptor Center. I say a small way because, I mean, Sarah is quite a champion. But a dream of the Grow Safe campaign that would be directly related to the poison-free Belize campaign from the Raptor Center. And we've done 2 meetings already with the Mayors Association, and we will make a third pitch to them as soon as we coordinate it. But in the UK, for example, they have pesticide-free towns, you know, where, and I think that would be something that, a good place to start, you know, and a way in which we could also engage with students through academia, Galen University. Thank you so much, Galen, for this opportunity and this initiative, and for supporting our efforts.
Yeah. I'll say you're welcome, but I'll also allow Dean Gibbs to chime in.
This has been really great. And when Miss Deanna asked about a topic, I think, for the season, we had just finished having Sarah and Miriam and Dr. Isabel on, and looking at wildlife. So I think so far we started with harpy eagles and the zoo and wildlife there, and then we went to, I think, vets, and then last week wildlife and wildlife health and biodiversity. We spoke a lot about biodiversity, and then today coming back again, looking at these key areas that are really having some struggles that that are simple solutions, right? And then next week, you were mentioning the eBird. We're going to do birding.
Nice.
So yeah, we'll be able to push the eBirds, and we'll put in some plugs for people to monitor the raptors, like roadside hawks. I used to see them all the time going to school, and I don't see them anymore. So that's an indicator. And then we'll finish off by, I think, we're looking at fire. And fire safety and the impacts that it has on our wildlife, because that's we're starting to get into. So I think, this has been a really nice thread, and really appreciate the work that you're both doing, but also
We appreciate you inviting us out to educate more.
I know the time was not enough for all that you wanted to share, so we'll have to invite you back at another time. But thank you so much for finding the time to join us. Thank you, Dean Gibbs, for being here with us tonight. Thanks to our viewing audience. It's 9 o'clock on the dot, and we can't get in between Belizeans and their bolido. So I want to say thank you for joining us here tonight for the Galen Hour. We'll be here next week, same place, same time, for our next episode. Have a wonderful night, and we hope that you join us again next week. Good night. Stay safe.
Good evening. The time